ahead and get started. I know some people are dropping in. Very nice to meet you if you haven't met me before. My name's Emma Montgomery, and I'm a part of our customer success team. So I've worked with, oh, I want to say thousands, tens of thousands of customers in implementing successful implementations within SmartSuite. So where I come into play is the initial tool adoption, implementation, and the overall success. So today I'm going to bring to you my knowledge and expertise on how I've found the best way to get started in SmartSuite and also to set you up on the right track. So we're going to be talking about themes as who are you, what's your role in this process and implementation, and how I can direct you to the best place, common mistakes and best practices, as well as some example use cases. Can everyone see my screen okay? You should see this nice getting started workshop presentation here. Okay, looks like it's good. Great. First, we're going to talk a little bit about SmartSuite and what it is, and we identify ourselves as a no-code platform. No-code is a very new space, but it's launching and it's growing. It's a very, very widespread, and it's even being adopted in the banks and GRC, so in universities as well. But the whole goal of no-code is to eliminate repetitive tasks, to save time, to integrate with business systems, and to create very easy configurable workflows without writing code. So you can deliver something in weeks or months versus years. So it makes it very easy for even traditional no code developers to implement something very, very quickly. So it's very often that I onboard teams within weeks, or if even a month. So, that's not really common when you're implementing other solutions. No-code platform was meant to make software accessible and usable for everyone. So you don't need that skill set. You don't need to write code to be able to make something meaningful to you. And I do have a comment that someone can't hear, just confirming that my audio is okay. Maybe just you, but I just want to make sure everyone can hear okay. Just leave a message in the chat. Okay, perfect. And then basic features. So we can allow people to use a tool that allows drag and drop interface, spreadsheet interface, along with a user interface on a layer on top. So not only is this a backend database, but this is a tool that you can build a backend database for, but then you can create a logic, automated, and visual layer on top of SmartSuite, as well as integrate with other tools. So SmartSuite is meant to be a platform where you can build value on it. Then you can also integrate with the tools that you use, such as Gmail, Slack, even creating connections with the API. So it can become very powerful. It's meant to be a business operating system, not just a CRM or a project management tool. It can be a lot more than that. So what is SmartSuite particularly? We plan, map, and track workflows across any industry, across any process. And it really is a platform to build your business on. So we run and build our entire company, SmartSuite, on SmartSuite. Very important to us. We're in it with you. We want the platform to be successful. When there's an issue or a new feature, we feel the pain and we want to implement it for you. What makes this very unique is our custom permissions at a field level. Why is this important? Because traditional systems, it's very hard. People are seeing too much information. They're seeing information that they shouldn't for security. Our granular permissions allow you to create very, very easy to configure, but everyone's only seeing the information they need. We have 15 different languages. The UI is very beautiful, fun to use. And then we have a lot of use case driven templates for you to get started very, very easily. The relational database capability allows you to not only create cross-functional workflows, but also automate them and then create that visual layer on top of it. We fall kind of in the middle of all of these tools I'm discussing. So project management, relational database, and project management, and then really process management, even at an enterprise level. So the real story of SmartSuite is there was a lot of great tools out there. SmartSuite was built with the intention that, yes, there are a lot of great tools that do a select item of things very well, but there was a lack of inclusivity of all these needs, which led to people using ClickUp and Monday and Smartsheet or Airtable, needing these particular needs and not finding them in one platform. So that is where SmartSuite came into play. So we use the relational database as our fundamental, the heart of SmartSuite, where we have structured data. We have that project management layer on top, the unstructured data, like having the ability to create Google Doc documentation within the platform, within your projects. And then the building blocks like permissions and automations, integrations. And then I even didn't mention here, but my favorite part of SmartSuite is that visual layer on top of it. Why do you want to choose SmartSuite and why have you chosen SmartSuite potentially? You want fewer spreadsheets, you need clearer workflows, you want to track your progress on time, and you want to empower your team to make changes within your system and your processes without having to create IT tickets. So we solve for a lot of those needs and more, but we really start with the ability and flexibility and customization is where we really come into play because we want you to own, we want the technology to work how you want it versus you having to work for the way the technology is shaped. There's a couple elements to building these solutions. So first start to this whole journey is process documentation and understanding the fields of data you're working with. So anytime I work with an implementation, you need to define your process and understand the types of information, the processes, who's involved within these elements, initial elements. And then we start to think how we can build functional solutions around it. For example, CRM, onboarding workflow, and many more. Then what the initial, I guess the last step is launching productional systems. So you may think I need SmartSuite for a CRM. What often happens is we create a CRM and then a project management, and they connect and talk to each other. So when I talk about production systems is using SmartSuite as a system across the organization through different departments because SmartSuite solutions talk to each other and create automations and permissions and all of that across those workflows. Something really important is to identify who you are as a SmartSuite user, implementer, or collaborator. So the three roles I see are the builders, the ones who create these workflows. They work alongside those process owners. So you can build something great, but if it doesn't resonate with the person using the process, that's a problem. So oftentimes I see people trying to implement really great workflows. The best way to implement great workflows is to involve those people who are actually using those and know the workflow the best, because those are the people that they're building it for. Typically, we see ops, IT, admin, or department leads become these builders in SmartSuite. They don't have to have a collaborative like an IT background or they haven't had experience building systems. If they start to understand SmartSuite and educate themselves properly, they know the process best. So understanding the process is really the hardest part because SmartSuite is very easy to learn and build in. Next level, we have collaborators or contributors. These are the people actually updating the data, managing the tasks. They're often project managers, sales reps, HR staff, just to name a few. They're collaborating in the system. They didn't build it, but they contribute to the process and they present feedback to the builder to make those enhancements. And last off, we have our viewers and executives. These are the people who are monitoring outcomes. They're seeing a high level view. So they want to see visibility, not necessarily accountability going into the weeds of the spreadsheets. They want to see something like dashboards. This is most commonly leadership or oversight roles, managers, for example. So the most important thing when you are starting this journey with SmartSuite is to identify who you are. And maybe you're the right person who joined today, but maybe you're thinking of someone else on your team that you want to get involved within your SmartSuite strategy. Are you setting up the processes? You're a builder. Are you completing tasks? You're a contributor. Are you reviewing results or dashboards? You're likely an executive. And just to clarify, many users can move between roles or become multiple. Sometimes I see a high level executive become a builder because they really enjoy SmartSuite and it becomes something they like to use. So just something to note, you can be more than one, but definitely identifying people as these roles as you start to roll out SmartSuite is very, very important. It helps you focus on the right learning paths as you're getting started here. So I'm going to explore the learning path for SmartSuite and in the shoes of each of those roles. Um, I highly recommend starting with our template gallery, regardless of who you are. It helps you understand how SmartSuite can be used, and it gives you a starting point and best practices. So we have over 200 industry best-in-class templates for you to download, and I'll show you where to find those. We have builder training, SmartSuite training class monthly that you can have your builders join. We map solutions, we plan them, we create them, and you come out with a functional solution to use and to start to build on. We host office hours 3 times a week. Oftentimes I see people join with their first 2 or 3 weeks of building SmartSuite and they have a completed solution. So it's a great place to learn how people are using SmartSuite, how to teach yourself and build something, understand strategy, troubleshoot issues, and all of that. I've seen the most successful users attend these office hours in their first learning tracks. Our community, our help docs are very well documented for you to find the information. And honestly, the best way to learn is just to start building. Dig into the weeds, whether you're a high level executive or a builder. Highly recommend that you just start looking at SmartSuite and dig into the platform yourself. We're going to explore a couple real use cases in a live implementation. So right now I am in a implementation. This was a client implementation I did, just anonymized for confidentiality. But this user or this team really came into SmartSuite with the intention of using it for project management. They came to find out that they could use SmartSuite for absolutely anything in their company. So we started small, but as you can see, these are the active live solutions that this company is using. So project management was at its core, the sales CRM, marketing management, and then a lot of other core business processes. They discovered SmartSuite by looking into the template or the project management use case by looking into the template gallery here. So here's where you can find, and I'll just point that out right here once more. Here's where you can find those 200 plus templates for any core workflow that you're looking to achieve. So they came in here and they searched for project management and they found our core project management solution. You can click into the solution and you can see a live demo, or you can select that you just want to use this template right away. And it will download for you in a couple seconds. So what you're seeing here is demo data that allow you to see what this process could look like in SmartSuite, but everything is custom to how you want to work. For example, if you don't have daily stand-ups, you can delete daily stand-ups. And you can start to add your own tables as well here. And I'll walk you through a couple simple actions for customizing solutions in just a second. They realized that their project management information was living in a spreadsheet, siloed from their CRM. Why is this a problem? Anytime any project is executed, there's no connection or transparency between the client that they're working on the project for. This CRM that we created, we'll go into accounts. The CRM that we created allowed them to store opportunities as well as their accounts and all associated with the projects that they were working on. My favorite part of this implementation was their very complex quotes and bids, orders, fulfillments, procurement, that whole process that was developed within one. So they did not think that they could implement SmartSuite for orders and quotes and fulfillment, but we created a high-level dashboard visualization for them to own this process. And this is really the end state. Having a collaborative workflow landing page, they're called dashboard views. But this allows you to see insight into your business at an executive level. What are our top 10 quotes to close? How many orders have we fulfilled this quarter? For people in the weeds, creating orders or fulfilling orders, Here's our live order management. Let's create a new order. Let's view existing orders. For the fulfillment warehouse, so I'm speaking of different roles within processes, here's our fulfillment form. Here's our checklist of tasks that we are completing. So different perspectives within one solution, and it can be access controlled, so people can only see the information they need to at a high level. I'm just going to go back to my solution here. And I'll stop for questions in just a second. Something I highly recommend doing. I'm actually going to look at the Q&A really quick because I do see some things coming through. Okay, question about languages. Excellent. I think we have that answered. Anyone have any questions? I I really want to walk you through every time I implement with a team or organization, I create a strategy roadmap for SmartSuite. Helps me learn how to use SmartSuite too. If I'm someone who's new to the platform, I'm building a strategy roadmap around how to build my SmartSuite implementation. And and this is why this is important is because you need to plan before you execute any process, and you need to learn, and you can use SmartSuite for as many use cases, and you're never billed per use case, it's only per user. So to get your full investment out of SmartSuite and to accomplish the goal of this cross-functional organization workflow hub is to use it for multiple things. The thing is, though, people often get carried away, and it can be difficult to accomplish everything at once. So before I go through that strategy roadmap, I'm just going to go over a couple learnings and common mistakes I see. Why I know this is not mistakes aren't fun to make, but I want to warn you now and just educate you now so we can make sure that you take the best step forward. So my learnings from working with thousands of teams is to start small, be intentional, and iterate often. So some bullets here on what and I'll elaborate a little bit about what I mean for them. Lack of clear objectives and success metrics, not understanding the why. Many times people come into SmartSuite with a lot of ideas, an issue that they're experiencing, but no direct goal on what we want to achieve. So jumping into a tool adoption without clearly defining your business goals and success metrics. People can get really excited about a new technology, but we need strategic alignment. That's not focused on features, but that's focused on outcomes. And people oftentimes don't have that perspective when we're looking for a new tool. They're just frustrated with what they're using, and they want to find a fix to one thing. And they don't think big picture about how this could help them as an organization. Inadequate process mapping. So trying to automate broken processes and achieve an end-all state without documenting your process is the number one common mistake I would see. The hardest part, I would say, of my job is just understanding someone's process and helping them even build it, because a lot of times you don't have a process, you're just working as quickly as possible. So working on mapping out your process and workflows allows you, the building is the easy part. So once you define your processes and document them and where you want those automations, it makes it very, very easy to begin to build them. Insufficient stakeholder involvement. Decisions are often made by a small group, even ones who are just evaluating the platform, without input from those process owners or end users. Very important to educate them and get their feedback on, do you think this would be helpful for your marketing workflow? Here's how it would work. Do you have feedback? Do you have requirements that you need? And interviewing different groups of people is very helpful in achieving a solution that can be effective for multiple different departments at once. A lot of times project teams underestimate the complexity of real world use cases or user behaviors. So lack of buy-in across not just your decision makers, but your process owners and implementers can be very, very useful. And then understanding change management. Mistake I see is that assuming everyone will adopt the new tool on their own, which is not true. They're user-friendly. SmartSuite is very user-friendly, but adoption requires cultural and behavioral shifts. It's a new system, it's a new way of working. It may be better, but it's new. So fostering that new adoption is very, very important. That's one of my top ambitions and goals as a success manager. Partial adoption workarounds, reversion to old systems, people can fall back into their old way of things easily because they resist a change. My suggestion to this is find small wins. So if someone's looking for, they don't have access to this report, they can never find this data, build that report for them. And when we solve these quick wins, people can start to understand the big picture and the why, and then it becomes less resistant for them to change there. Neglecting quality data and migration strategy. So use this as an opportunity to clean up your dirty laundry. A lot of times people try to pour in their current processes and data, and they don't take a step back and understand what's not working. What do I need to fix before I implement this process? So use this as an opportunity to clean your data. It may be tedious. We may have to rework some of the processes, but 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times, if you take that time to evaluate your processes, clean the data up, make sure that this information is valuable within a new system, it works out much better for you. And then lack of ongoing governance. Treating SmartSuite as a one-time project. It is not a one-time project. It is something that you can iterate and adapt and grow with. So the fact that SmartSuite is so scalable and flexible allows you to continue to make iterations. We have new features all the time, and there are features that, such as dashboards, that very successful implementations haven't even tapped into. Very important to stay up to date and updating your processes because there may be things that you don't even know you have. I'll take one moment here to look into any questions, and then we're going to dive into a solution. Does anyone have any questions at all? Okay. Looks like we're okay. Yeah, you can feel free to speak up, ask your question, or put them in the chat, or Q&A, either one. Okay, I'll continue. So in this case, I'm in a strategy roadmap solution. So I've created a couple different tables. Tables are SmartSuite, they're databases, truly, and they connect with each other. So if I let's go into our project management solution, we can start to understand a couple different things. Your solution name is your process. So right now we have project management. It's a grouping of projects within our project management system. These tables here connect to each other. So we can create relationships between our projects and tasks. We can create relationships between our projects and accounts in our CRM solution. So a solution is really a project process or workflow within your company, and you can also associate it with departmental, so marketing, that encompasses plans and campaigns and content. But they are the biggest level of SmartSuite. So they hold databases, so it's important to understand how large they truly are. These tables here hold what we call fields. So SmartSuite has over 44 different field types to track and manage data. Think of it as types of data. So if I go in to explore our fields here, not only do we have the core central fields you may be used to, if you're used to other project management, Airtable, Monday, all those tools, but we have some very unique fields within SmartSuite that are unique to us. Why is this important? It allows us to have an edge on different needs, such as unstructured data. project assignments, very flexible linked records, and then information within projects. So if we go into our project essentials field, we'll notice we can create assignments between the assigned to field, the due date, and the status. So this connection allows us to create an assignment that someone can be notified for and held accountable in their high-level view that we'll look at. Checklists that can be assigned to someone with a date. It's very unique to SmartSuite, and you wouldn't think it was that powerful, but in processes where there's a lot of underlining steps, when each person is responsible for one thing with a due date, can be very helpful. Dependencies for those more detailed project managers, and then more advanced field types. A couple to note, we have data validated field types such as email, full name, address, phone number, and that allows you to ensure that your data is accurate, especially when you're gathering it via form potentially. And then our Smart Doc field is very important because it allows you to create basically a Google Docs within a record. So within a project, you can have a project outline that you can document projects in. That one is a text area. I'll show you Smart Doc. So these fields here make up the components or the attributes about projects. So the records here are the rows. We call them records. Right now they're projects. So projects can be fields like status, project manager, due date, type. These are all custom. So if I have different naming conventions for what I call a status, you can click into the settings or go into the three-dot menu and say, I don't have an analysis phase, I have new request, and then I have approved. You can change that and you can customize the colors. So you're owning the way that you have a process. Maybe I call this stage instead of status, I can change it there. We have ownership over this via the project management field, and I am assigning someone by clicking into here. I can assign particular individuals to a project or task. I can see a high-level view of all the tasks I've been assigned in my work here. So in this case, I can see by status everything that I'm working on, and I can even go by due date so I can see things that are overdue, upcoming, today, and that is a high-level view across any process. So I know a lot of people are involved in different processes, whether it's the connection between marketing and sales, approving an asset, reviewing an asset from sales, as the marketing team or sales are approving or looking at an asset from marketing. They can have cross-functional workflows and pull tasks together in one comprehensive view. Records can be opened up into an outline. We call this an open record view. This is very unique to SmartSuite because there are a lot of key features like collapsible sections. I was talking about how SmartSuite's a no-code drag and drop customizable interface, so everything can be moved around to your liking. If you like to see things in a different view, you can adjust the page settings to make it 70/30 or just one row. But everything is representative within the record. So the whole objective here is to be able to see a project and see everything relevant to the project. A lot of times, information is stored in many different places, whether it's emails, spreadsheets, notes, all sorts of places. But the objective here is to have, here's my Ellen product line launch, here's everything about it. Here's the tasks that are associated, change requests, deliverables, meetings, and even you can connect it to the particular account that you're working on the project for. If I go into tasks here, we can see, we'll go into task by phase. We're looking at a grid view, but SmartSuite has a lot of different ways of looking at data. So if I want to look at SmartSuite, I need to make it smaller. There we go. If I want to look at SmartSuite in a Kanban view or calendar view, timeline, I want to create a form for a change request. I can accomplish that by using our different view types. So similar to project management tools, but also different because some of these views are very unique to SmartSuite. So if I look into a Kanban view, I can see that they're now organized by status, and it again is a drag and drop interface like this. Very easy to use. If we go into our Marketing management, for example, every time you go into a solution, best practice is having a dashboard. So each process has a dashboard that pulls data from that particular solution and allows you to see a high level view of that process. You can have a big dashboard for every process that pulls it all together for someone who's overseeing the entire company. But people should work in dashboards. The spreadsheets and the views that you create can be established for a particular purpose, but most people like to look at something fun to use and easy on the eye, and it can pull together components that you need. So if I'm looking at, for example, lead generation, I can notice that these are pulling from my opportunities. I have 3 in discovery, 3 scoping, 3 follow-up, and I can click into this data and access it easily. So instead of working in that spreadsheet view, I can have this comprehensive view of what's happening. We can start to create visualizations on top of it. So no longer is this a list of my campaigns, but I can report on it and I can understand where I'm spending my budget by campaign. What types of active campaigns am I running? If I want to use an active filter to understand all the campaigns that Emma's working in, I can see them there. A calendar, for example, or a way of selecting things and seeing them visually on the side here. And then lastly, if I go deeper into a more granular process, creating content, active people who are not just overseeing and managing campaigns, but people who are working on the content within campaigns have a dedicated place here to see things. And the reason why dashboards are also helpful is because we can create different dashboards for different audiences. So as an executive, you may want to see high level what's going on within marketing. But as someone who's owning the marketing process and content creation, you're going to have your own view of looking at things, what's important to you, and starting to understand those audiences when you're building can be very, very useful. It all starts with the backbone. So downloading a template, looking at the template, seeing how it's useful to you, expanding off of it. You can easily delete the demo data by selecting the drop down, and you can say, well, it would show if I didn't edit a bunch in here. But you can explore how the SmartSuite template is applicable to you, and you can also import data in here. So if I have a listing of projects and I want to select the projects and I want to import my data, I can do that by selecting CSV, Excel, and it will import for you. You can map the fields and create them as well. That makes it very easy to do. The views are on the left-hand side, so I already talked about where to find the dashboards, but dashboards are a view type that you can centralize in your core table here. But people can have particular views, and they are meant to be a snapshot of what you're looking to achieve and see a report, for example. So if I want to see projects by due date, projects by project manager, for example, and these snapshots or views are accomplished by reporting on them using the toolbar. So I can use fields to display. Here are all the fields that I've created within my projects table, lots of them. But we're not just looking at a spreadsheet of 100 fields. I want to only select these fields. These are what's important for me for this report. Here we go. We can select the fields. We can add a sort potentially by due date and phase. We can then group it by project manager. Maybe we want to spotlight things that are in red, spotlight status. So I can easily do that there. This may be too colorful for you, but you can adjust and you can set conditions on there. Let's say I want to share this view. I can set a toggle here and I can go ahead and share this view in a read-only state. I've created my view for projects by manager, and now anyone with this link can now see an active real-time project list. So then again, defining who's seeing the data. So there's the people who are using SmartSuite within the solutions. There could be the people that are overseeing dashboards, because with permissioning, you can set who can see which views to make it very, very easy. And then when we set permissions, very important. you invite someone, you can give them general access and then associate which ones they can have. Or you can do it by team. So all the marketing team has access to these solutions. So if I go into advanced permissions here, I can see that I want the sales team to have viewing access of the project management solution, for example. Maybe I want them to only see things that they're assigned. Maybe I want them to only contribute to a solution. So lots of ways to isolate the viewing experience and editing experience within processes. And then you can have someone managing the solution, the process owner, who has full access to edit the data. And I can provide a lot more information on permissions. If you go into our help center, we can type in permissions. There can explore the different levels of permissioning, but they are very granular, and every scenario that you want to accomplish can be achieved there. Does anyone have any questions about SmartSuite so far? I will be sending over some resources, but I want to encourage anyone to either speak up or send in the chat any immediate questions they have. Not only is they're evaluating the product, but I know some of you here have been using SmartSuite, but maybe want to take a step back and start to understand like what else can we use it for? Like why are we using it? And how can we get more out of the product? So those are also welcome as well. Yes, I'm more than happy to share the slides with you. And I will go into, I will show the slides with the attendees after the session. We did have one more slide I'll put up here. If you have two accounts, can you communicate between them? That's a good question. Think of workspaces as the actual company and siloed. Well, I don't want to use the word siloed, but it's a dedicated space to hold all your workflows. Workspaces don't talk to each other, but solutions do. And unless they are completely different companies, I wouldn't recommend separating them into two different accounts. So let me give you an example. There are multiple workspaces I'm a part of. I'm a part of our SmartSuite implementation of SmartSuite, but then I'm a part of this company's, for example. Two different companies, they don't talk to each other. Very complex, maybe API you could, but I would recommend keeping them. If you need to communicate and connect with them, I would recommend keeping them in one house in one workspace. Anyone else have any questions? Perfect. Okay, I'm going to be sharing a couple things, and someone does have a question about best practice for automation, which is a great one. I'm going to share a couple links here because I know we're coming close to time, but I'm happy to stay a little bit longer if necessary. Some really, really important links here I'm going to be sending, and click on the ones that are important to you. I'd love to hear feedback about this event, how we can continue to make it better, what resonated with you, what do you feel we want to talk about more. Inviting you to our monthly training if you're a builder and you want to learn more about SmartSuite, how to build SmartSuite, how to implement it for your team. A good place for you. Same with office hours. You can come in with any type of question, but very good for the early stage of building. Connect with us on LinkedIn. We post all the time about SmartSuite, new features, what's going on with our company. Very good way to stay connected. And personally, I'd love if you follow me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of dashboards and how people are using SmartSuite, the different situations and problems people have come to me with, and how we've executed on those problems. So post a lot of dashboards in particular. So I'd love if you connect with me as well. Okay, two questions. How can we go over the best practice for automations? Yes, automations, I'd say first, document the automations that you're looking to achieve. For example, when a deal is closed, we want to send an email to the team. This deal has been closed. And we do have a section on the training class particular to automations. So document them first, understand what processes they're a part of, and then you can start to look at them in SmartSuite terms. So once I have them documented, I can describe one. So when the status is closed, maybe I want to send an email. Going into automations in particular, and also I think part of your question may be, do I need an automation for this? So understanding best practices for automations. You can also do a lot of research in AI. You can talk a little bit about the process you built and ask it, I'm building automations in SmartSuite. What are some common automations used for this use case? And, I feed a lot of data into AI all the time about SmartSuite and use cases. So something great will come back, and I'm happy to even share, planning on creating more of a like a chat bot to understand and get feedback on different needs. Automations in general give you an overview, are found from the solution dropdown here under automations. So I won't get too detailed into the weeds here today, but for example, if we wanted to create an automation, we would look at the trigger, so what's happening within SmartSuite to execute the action. So for example, let's say the record was updated. So the status changed, or the stage is what I called it. I'll just do changes from not equal to closed to equal to closed. And then the action would be to send the email. And I do encourage you to go into our help documentation to start to understand the types of automations you can create. Um, but yes, definitely document them, do some research on maybe some recommended automations, and then you can begin building them. And we also have resources on building automations as well, and even live help if you need. Can you explain the finance section? Sure. This one, I believe. So this one was implementing budget. So I don't think they've quite implemented this one, but they plan on implementing a budget. I think their budget is actually in a different solution. They use this as some help and templates. It looks like they establish budgets, budget items. This is all demo data because we can't share the live one, but then it maybe budget changes. So finance is a broad term. It could be used for anything regarding a financial workflow. If there's anything in particular you were looking at, I'm happy to show you because this one is specifically for budgets. If there's anything specific in finance you're interested in looking at, also happy to explore that if you just want to follow up there. Oh, payments. How are payments coming in? Are they via a certain application like Stripe, for example, QuickBooks? And then I will go over the HR management section as well. 0, yes. Okay, so for that, I would highly recommend integrating 0 with SmartSuite. Reason being, and if maybe you could give me a little bit of context on your use case or your industry, that could be helpful. I could speak to that. But most often people use a connector like Make to connect 0 to SmartSuite. So as payments are being made, they can feed into SmartSuite, or you can execute, let's just say, contracts or payments from SmartSuite when something is executed into 0, and it can process in 0 and then come back and say, okay, this was processed. Thank you, Marion. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad this was helpful. Okay, next we have a question. Let me know if you have any, Melinda, if you have any follow-up questions on that, but it would be an integration. It would basically be talking to each other and processing payments, but SmartSuite would be the front end of understanding and viewing the payments retroactively of, payment history, who it was, revenue from those payments, and that sort of thing. HR management, yes. So HR management is a common use case. In this case, this instance, there's a lot of different HR needs, but this one focuses on the people, the employee onboarding, time off requests, and expense tracking. for example. So it looks like they have a listing of people and the job and the manager that they're working in. They have an onboarding workflow here, maybe tasks around departments. And then one specific was the time request, which was an interesting one. There is a way for people to enter time requests, and it comes into here, and um, they're able to check it off and approve it. And then people can see, managers can see when employees are requesting time off. Same with expense tracking. You can be able, and it all rolls up. This is the best part. If you open up a person, that's a good question. I need to create one for HR. If you open up a person, you can see most information about them, files, actions or tasks, references like this. You can see the information about them. HR dashboard. I I might. Let me get back to you on that. I'll have one created for you, or we need to add, maybe they're not in the solution template, but they need to be. Since we released all these dashboard features, we've been actively working on implementing dashboards. So let me think on that. I just created one for a team too that I could probably share with you after the call. I have your email, so I'll send you an example of that. Anyone want to share their use case with me? I'd love to get an idea of all the ways that SmartSuite is being used for, and how I can best guide you. But as always, you can send us a message in the chat here. So I oversee a team here. I spend a lot of time in here. If you send us a message with questions, needs, use case ideas, if you're trying to do something in the product and you're not sure, that's a great way to reach us. Anyone have any interesting use cases they're building out or plan to build out in SmartSuite? Let me know. And definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, and you can always send me a message there as well if you have any tracking orders and inventory. Christine, that would definitely this would be a good solution for you. I'm happy to share this with you. Actually, there's demo data in it now, but this implementation was specific for inventory. The challenge was, orders are being made. We don't know how to prioritize them because we don't know if inventory is in. So strategizing based on inventory and ordering supply based on demand. Those were the goals that we accomplished with this solution here. Thanks for sharing. Anyone have any additional ideas on use cases or thoughts, questions on use cases? Oh, great question, Kim. So, learning the SmartSuite, let me ask, do you have any experience using tools like this? Or is this kind of your first tab at using a tool like a project management database tool, anything like that? Because that would be important in my suggestion to you. And do you plan on building SmartSuite, or are you just overseeing the decision or implementation? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so suggestion to you, I would recommend going into our template gallery. I'm happy to send you our monthly training class just so you can, we have it in a month. It's last Thursday of every month. But you want to get started now, so I'll send you the last month recording, and it will walk you through the basics in a deeper level. I know we very briefly touched on them, but it will walk you through the basics and how to start building, and even you'll build a solution live on that session. So that would be the number one, the training, and then attending office hours as well, listening to see how people are using the tool, and getting started too. So just looking at the template gallery, and downloading templates and starting to play around with them. But in addition, I do want to introduce, and I'll put this in, maybe Isaac, if you don't mind putting in the chat, the SmartSuite, link to a SmartSuite YouTube. It would be, oh, I don't know if he's here right now. So if you type in SmartSuite on YouTube, there are probably thousands of videos that you could type in, like SmartSuite for marketing, and it will come up. So that would also be, that's a good learning strategy as well. And then of course the help documentation. That is also very helpful because there's videos and all sorts of things that will walk you through step by step. Of course. Yeah, I will be sending an email to everyone, all of these resources after, so we can make sure that that will get you help. Okay. I will be using it for marketing strategy and content planning. Can I post the content directly from socials? Interesting. Yes, I do have experience where many people actually, who have SmartSuite as like the content hub, and then they have an integration when, let's say, a status changes, it posts on this channel. So a way to accomplish that would be using a connector like Make, I'll type in the names, make.com, or Zapier to do this. And if you do some AI research, you can inquire about how to set these up. But basically, I would recommend starting with building. Let's go into marketing. So content. So you have maybe your photo, your message, your copy, and then you could have maybe a status that says publish, and you can publish it. And then it would execute the post, given you set up the integrations, because you would authenticate your credentials in the third-party connector, and it would send it in or post it for you. And yes, I will be sharing the slides as well for for everyone on the webinar today. And then one more thing. I will just follow up. Anyone else have any last minute questions? But I will I'm going to send this one more time just in case anyone missed it. It's event feedback. What was helpful, or what information do you want to learn more about? And then as well as requests for new events, things that you would be helpful. They can be use case specific as well, because we oftentimes take, what people are looking to learn more about, and we create webinars based off those as well. Second one is monthly training for those builders, office hours for the builders or people asking questions, and then connect with us and I'd love to connect with you as well. It was very nice to meet many of you, and great to see some familiar faces on here as well. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll stay on just for a couple minutes in case there are any last questions. We're very excited to have you. I'm very passionate, as you can tell, about this tool, and very passionate about all the people I've worked with, and really want to bring success to you.